My name is Dwayne Ricardo Onfroy. My son is Jase Dwayne Ricardo Onfroy. Born January 23rd, 1998. Left this earth physically June 18, 2018. At 20 years old.
My jumper, coolest podcast in the world. Today we're here with
xxxtentacion.
Okay, so what do you want me to call you?
Just call me X. X or Young Dagger Dick.
You want me to call you Young Dagger
Young
Dick?
Dagger Dick.
You want me to say and call you Young Dagger Dick?
Young Dagger Dick.
I don't think I'm gonna do that. I will call you X.
xxxtentacion made 2 albums, both of which had an introduction explaining what the albums would be like. I want to do that for this documentary too because I feel that this documentary also deserves an explanation. My name is xxxtentacion and X's death left an impact on me. I didn't know him personally, but his music was personal to me. His music will never be forgotten and the impact that he had on people will never fade away. I wanted to make this documentary to talk about his life, his music, his rise to fame, and his untimely death, and why he left an impact on myself and millions of people. Even though I consider this a documentary, I'm not going to cover every single aspect of X's life, and there are going to be a lot of points throughout this documentary where I give my own opinion. Most of the sources that I used for this documentary were from X's interviews. For pacing reasons, I trimmed a lot of footage down to the most relevant parts, but assuming that you watch this entire video but you haven't seen the interviews before, I recommend that you watch the interviews as well, just so that nothing may potentially be taken out of context. Because I'm using the footage from his interviews as my primary sources, I'm going to judge everything based on his own words and assume that for the most part he's telling the truth. Because I want this documentary to serve as a tribute to X which honors his legacy. So let's start from the beginning. xxxtentacion was born Jase Onfroy on the 23rd of January 1998 in Plantation, Florida, and spent most of his early life in Lauderhill. Throughout his childhood, he was, well, in his own words,
I was that kid that didn't say much, but like him not saying much made you want to know what the fuck he was thinking. I'd be in the cut and then when I'd say some shit, it'd be some weird shit. Like I'd say some crazy shit like, oh, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you or some shit. Like I'd be the kid in the cut to like just get off on somebody and then you wonder why the fuck it happened. I never really spoke. I always acted. I mean, that was always my problem. I always acted before I thought anything through.
He experienced a lot of things in his childhood that affected him, things that shaped him as a person. One of them was a story about defending his mother.
Basically, a nigga tried to put his hands on my mom type shit. I bit his flesh out and grabbed the glass shard and like poked him with it type shit, like stabbed him with it. Wow. When I was like 6, 7.
X had a difficult relationship with his mother for a lot of reasons. He fought kids in school just to get her attention, and because she struggled to raise him, he had to get raised by other relatives like his grandmother. X believed that because his mother couldn't raise him throughout his childhood, it made a severe impact on his mental health and made him depressed. Despite this, he understood what she was going through and still loved her. In his own words,
she was in a situation where like she wanted me around, but she couldn't afford to, like because of shit she was around, you know, she was still growing up. Like my mom was raised in Jamaica. She just wasn't in a very stable environment because she had no help at that. Like, raising a kid honestly was a last priority, you feel me? So what she did was she passed me from hand to hand to people that could take care of me, you know? I was put in situations that weren't the best, but I get what she was doing, so I don't resent her. I would never resent my mom, but like my mom had it hard, I had it hard.
Eventually he got kicked out of high school in sophomore year for getting into so many fights. But then again, he didn't really like school for reasons that I can agree with.
Realistically, as the parents that send their kids to school, they don't even know what their children are studying. As far as the information they solicit, I felt like it was stupid. I would go to school, go to sleep, and like wasn't really doing anything, and I felt like it wasn't mentally doing anything for me. Like anything that took away the freedom of my mental, or took away that made my thoughts conform, I found irrelevant, and I felt like it would not benefit me at all, nor has it. Everything that I've applied my mind to and that I really attracted mentally has come to me. Anything that I did not want has not worked out.
Most young people start their careers right after high school, whereas X's career started in the place you'd least expect.
I spent a year in jail, bro. Like, bro, I met him in fucking jail.
X was in jail, he met Ski Master Slump God, who was one of X's best friends and frequent collaborators. He was in jail
For a whole bunch of bullshit.
and that was because he did shit like...
Selling weed, getting caught, like getting kicked out of school, a whole
Yeah.
bunch of crazy shit.
And then there's X, who went to jail for...
Armed robbery.
Armed robbery. What was that like?
No, it was. You're gonna keep going.
Okay, yeah.
Armed robbery.
Fuck it.
He was in jail for quite a few reasons, like...
Armed robbery, armed burglary, possession of a firearm, armed burglary with dwelling, resisting without violence, grand theft of 3
Yeah, he
charges.
got a lot of charges.
Possession of
They
oxycodone.
was trying to direct file his ass.
On top of an armed burglary, on top of a possession, I had like hollow tips in my bullets type shit. I had a gun I wasn't supposed to have at that. I was just fucking up, you feel me, with all those charges. And this is not me being cool. This is not me
Yeah,
saying
we
this
don't
shit is
condone
okay.
this.
Yeah, we don't condone this shit. I was just fucking up.
I can't deny that X did a lot of bad things throughout his life, but he acknowledged that these were bad things. He did this interview with No Jumper a year before he blew up, and even in this interview, he doesn't condone committing crimes. And 2 years later, when he became rich and successful, he said this in his live stream.
We need good mothers. We need good fathers. We need people with sources of knowledge. Let's make it not cool to be stupid. Let's make it cool to be a good person. I'm tired of it being cool to be a fucking murderer or a shooter or just this irrelevant being. Like, that shit is stupid.
I'm gonna show the rest of this clip later on, but for now let's focus on his time in jail, which he said was detrimental to his mental health.
There was days where I'd slam my head on the fucking door for no reason. Like, I just wake up and
Just
like,
because
fuck.
you want to feel something. What
Yeah, I
the fuck
wanna
else
feel
are you
something
gonna do?
like
Yeah.
And there's
feel
crazy
numb.
people in there.
Yeah,
We had this one kid that would just sit there and listen to the walls and think he's listening to music.
Deadass.
You're around so many crazy people.
So
it
many
starts
crazy
to
people
rub
start
off
to
on you,
rub
yeah.
off on you, bro.
Then he went on to say that the way prisons are managed and the kind of food they give to their inmates is detrimental to their physical health.
It's sick. They don't feed you real meat. They're not giving you the right nutrition. They put in chlorine in the showers. They got bleach soaps. Like, bro, the shit is sick. There's a shit called they call Jim Jones. You pour it, they drink it. You drink it like every day. It's like a juice. It's like it's a fake juice. Like, they put the powder in the water. If you pour this shit on the paint, it melts the paint. And they're making us drink this shit.
I needed to add these clips so that there's a lot more context for an incident where X almost killed a gay guy in his prison cell. I've seen a few media outlets that tried to use the incident as clickbait without explaining the true context behind it. The source that the media tries to use for the homophobia is from the interview X had on No Jumper, which I'm going to analyze right now. Before talking about what happened, X prefaced his story by saying,
I am not homosexual. I am not homophobic. If a homosexual man is around me, I will not act like a fucking prick. You know, I'm not gonna act like a piece of shit and be like, oh, he's a faggot. I don't want to
But
be.
if he tries to rape you,
But if he
in jail,
tries to rape me, I'm gonna
Okay.
bash his
It'll be a
skull.
different conversation.
that to me is where you cross the line. yeah.
Exactly.
The rape thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Feel me? I've got gay friends. I know gay people. Gay people are cool.
so please stop assuming he was homophobic. On to the story.
They put him in a room with Ski, and
I got the fuck out of there first quarter. Nigga was sitting in the corner staring at me, right? So I'm like, bro, if you keep staring at me, I'm gonna beat your ass, bro. And I'm gonna get another charge for you. And I really not trying to catch another charge because we in here for some dumb shit. We gonna sit like. So he's sitting in the corner staring at me. So I'm just banging on the door. I'm like, yeah, y'all gotta get me the fuck up out of here. Banging on that shit. I kept banging on that shit till they let me out. So they put him in. That's
my room. They kicked him out his room. Like, cause me and him was in the same room type shit, right? Like, my level of respect for everybody within the jail was like, I wasn't a fucking prick. You feel me? Like, I wanted everybody to be kosher. I wanted everybody to be calm and like just move as a family type shit. You feel me?
Right.
So I respected the officers. A lot of niggas came in there trying to disrespect the officers. I was never that guy. So they came to me after they kicked him out his room and asked me if they could put him in my room. And I looked at them and I laughed and I was like, y'all can put him in my room, but if he does anything I disapprove of, I'm gonna kill him, and I'm not gonna give you any warning. Like, and I said it just like that, and I put it on my life. I said it like that, and he was like, all right, that's fine. As long as he don't touch you, you shouldn't have to put your hands on him. And I was like, all right, that's fine. They put him in my room. First few days, he was straight. Like, he was cool. He read his books. I stayed in my corner. He did his thing. You feel me? He asked me a few questions. That was fine. Like I said, I'm not homophobic, so I would speak to him. Like, I would even help him when people would bully him type shit. One day, he was staring at me type shit. He was staring at me throughout the day. So I'm like, yo, I warned you. So I walked out the room to go take my shower, and I came back in. And I was trying to calm down, kind of be kosher. So I turn around and I see this nigga staring at me while I'm putting on my jumpsuit. You gotta be in a towel in front of the nigga. You have to get naked in front of your friends type shit. So that's why it's better to be in a room with your niggas you fuck with. You feel me? Because if you get a weirdo, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I go in the corner by the toilet type shit and tie on my jumpsuit. and I don't put it on all the way. I tie it around my waist, and I start beating his face, and I grabbed his face, and I put it on the corner type shit, and I threw his head on the corner, and I just started stomping it, his jawing type shit. And then as soon as I did that, I remember, I just put his head on the corner, and I started stomping on him. And long story short, I was gonna kill him type shit. Luckily, a guard came over and saw that I was standing over his bed, but he didn't see what I was doing, you feel me? They open it, and they see that, obviously, because he screamed, they open it, they pull me off. So then I go out, and I said, I told y'all. The thing was, they respected that, you feel me? Because, I told them what I was gonna do. They put me in a room with someone that made me uncomfortable. Well, not necessarily uncomfortable, but they put me in a room with a risk.
You can argue that staring isn't a valid reason to almost kill someone, and I agree with that. However, there are aspects of the story that need to be taken into consideration. Firstly, the only reason why the gay cellmate shared a cell with X was because nobody felt comfortable with being in the same cell with him. So clearly the staring was a lot more uncomfortable than it should have been. Secondly, this was a prison. People go to prison for doing bad things. So there's a reason why the gay guy was in prison. I'm not going to assume why he was in prison, but he was there for a reason. Thirdly, X was naked and being stared at. The gay guy was transferred to different cells countless times. He's received hundreds of warnings, and despite all of this, he still didn't learn his lesson. Prison is an environment where people lose parts of their sanity, and the inmates have done bad things in the past. So the way I see it, this was going to happen eventually. But just to be clear, I'm not condoning X's actions. I think X went way too far with the beating. Despite the warnings he gave, I still think X went too far. He said he smeared the gay guy's blood on his face because he felt some kind of psychotic rage. I think X should be held accountable for his actions, yet at the same time, the prisoner should have been transferred to a different prison or some kind of protective custody a lot sooner. This is complicated because I can't find another side of the story. You could argue that there are parts of the story that are fabricated or left out, but like I said before, I'm going by what X is saying unless there's an opposing argument from another witness. But regardless, I think it's time to change the subject and talk about what he will always be known for. Like a lot of musicians, X started making music because he saw it as a much better outlet for him.
Literally, when I was a kid, like I said, I was batshit fucking crazy. I would just fight way too much. I had problems with my mom. My dad wasn't around. I was just lost. Literally lost, numb, and usually, growing up, the kids always are like, oh, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be the president. I literally always was my answer. You can ask my mother. I never fucking knew. So amongst that, just knowing I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do, music started to present itself. Because I think people are probably like, oh, this nigga's typical. He probably listens to Lil Wayne or shouts out to Lil Wayne, all these great artists for me listens to that typical trap shit. But nah, bro, I grew up listening to The Fray, 2 Days Grace, Papa Roach.
Really?
But yeah, bro, I was weird. I listened to Blood on the Dance Floor,
okay.
Yeah, I was fucking weird.
But you weren't into rap. You were just into sort of screamo
that's
bands?
That's where the versatility comes.
Everything.
Yeah, that's where the versatility comes with me because I would go from listening to that to Lil Wayne, to Tupac, to Biggie, to different artists. I came up off a lot of artists. I would go from all of that, from rock to fucking rap to literally Japanese fucking instrumentals, different Japanese songs. I was completely and utterly mesmerized by music.
Because he listened to all kinds of music, he also made all kinds of music.
I'll go from melancholy indie sound of rock to a very trap element or a trap rock element. Then I'll go to completely some other shit, some jazz, smoothly going shit. You feel me? I'll try and literally mix in as many aspects as I can.
X didn't like school because it tried to force some kind of structure in him that he didn't feel comfortable with. He never wanted to be confined by anything, especially not with music. I strongly believe that anyone who listens to music would enjoy at least one of his songs because he made music that caters to so many different styles and genres. People create art for a lot of reasons. There is the aspect of money, but there's also the personal aspect where someone has a desire to create something. I'll even say that about myself. I wanted to make this film because I want to give myself the opportunity to learn more about X while making what I would consider to be my first serious video. As for X, he made music to express himself, but also to connect with others.
I do this for the bond and obviously the attention because I need the attention. I need it to mold me as a person, and I fucking love music, you feel me?
X was a very self-conscious person that felt uncomfortable with his appearance, so when he was asked,
does music give you confidence?
He said,
music has saved my life.
The interview he did on No Jumper was recorded a year before he blew up, and yet even back then, X still had what was considered a cult fan base. There aren't a lot of rappers that gain a cult fan base. It's even more unusual when a rapper who isn't even that famous gains the kind of fan base that is so attached to them. It was through SoundCloud and social networking that he gained his following.
Social networking was always a forte for me. I always knew how to social network, I always knew how to publicize things, I always knew how to be a fucking idiot enough to where people would see.
I'm not getting a little ignorant on social media.
Getting a little ignorant on social media because no one else would do it.
He really released a song called Look At Me, which was his breakout single. It's a very unique track in the way that it has this distorted sound to it. It sounded unpolished, which was X's intention.
It's raw and it don't sound like anybody else. And if it don't sound like anybody else, then it sound like me.
The thing that made the song so special was that it was so different compared to a lot of rap songs that become successful. And the intentions that X had for the song are really admirable.
The niggas at the top of the industry right now, everybody's trying to sound like it. Every single person that jumps into music is like, all right, how can I sound like this? This is the sound I want, you know what I'm saying? I came out literally trying to change that.
The song was already successful in its own right, but the thing that made the song blow up was when Drake released a song called KMT, which had a really similar flow to Look At Me. I've listened to Drake's response and he was talking about X as if he never heard of him before, but in comparison between his side of the story and X's, I think Drake was lying.
Drake hit up a DJ that I fuck with, and bruh told me, he was like, yo, the nigga Drake watched your interview, he said he fuck with you, and he fuck with your partner Ski Mask. He's like, yo, he saying he go call your manager within the next few days. So I'm amped up, nigga, I fuck with Drake.
Yeah.
You feel me? Drake a genius.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Despite me disrespecting him as a man, because I can't respect him as a man, I respect that nigga career. Corporately, that nigga is the GOAT. And I knew what I was doing when I said what I said, and I knew how to approach him. Because I know where he can't beat me at. Initially, he was supposed to contact one of my managers, so he doesn't do it. That same fucking week, bro, I go on to, well, I can't go on to it obviously because I'm locked up. But
Yeah.
I'm on the securest phone, you feel me?
So you in jail, he's supposed to contact your manager, and then
He dropped a fucking video previewing that shit in Amsterdam. Some nigga from the UK. I was on the phone with my dog Chris. He was like, yo, you gotta listen to this shit. This nigga Drake a fault nigga. That's exactly what he said. So he plays this shit. I hear da 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 my dad. I'm like, what the fuck? As soon as it started, like I knew he was getting that. Like they did a mashup. They put his verse on my song. The cadence is literally just at the same tempo. It's not offbeat at all. That's a bitch move. Especially when I was in jail facing life. If Drake would have came to my barn here, then that would have made my fucking day. If he would have showed that he's a hospitable person and that he's really in this shit for the culture, rather than being a fuck nigga taking my shit, running off with it, and then putting it on his album, then he would have got my kudos, he would have got my respect. I would have let him hop on the remix, take 100% royalty rate.
X's career was a very short yet impactful one. He was part of XXL's 2017 freshman class, the kind of thing that a lot of aspiring rappers can only dream of appearing on. So when they asked him why he thought he was chosen as one of the freshmen for 2017, he said,
Because if y'all didn't respect the culture this year. And it's about the artistry. So being on the front of a magazine doesn't mean a fuck thing to me, to be honest. I mean, it's gonna be cool for my mom. My mom likes that type of shit. But I'm about it for the culture.
I'm not going to talk about every single detail of his career,
Because I feel like the less I say, is the more people who will wonder.
but in this case, they will try to find out themselves. If you're already a fan of X, I'm just telling you things you already know in a cinematic and hopefully entertaining way. And if you don't listen to his music, I suggest you listen to both of his albums, because I wanted to make this film in a way that's as close to X's perspective as possible while giving my own opinions. He was a rapper who could have had a long, successful career, who could have developed as an artist and do things that should have been featured in this documentary. Sadly, that's never going to happen, because on the 18th of June, he was
Today is June 18th, 2018. Unfortunately, in light of what's happened today, xxxtentacion passed away today.
Two men in a dark-colored SUV shot him and then fled the scene.
I do everything with my own motive, you know? And I believe anybody that can live without motive is literally the most insane person there is. I believe the person who probably plots on murder or plots on doing crazy things is the least crazy, you know? I'm considered crazy, but I think I'm the least crazy because the man who can just kill a man with no recollection or no thought to it or just make a crazy decision with no plot behind it is literally fucking crazy.
But so you don't think you're crazy because you...
Because everything comes with thought.
Bro, I don't even know what to say right now.
I don't know what to say either. Ski Master Slump God was one of X's closest friends, and Adam 22 was also close to X. Even though it was X's murder that ended his career, I don't want this documentary's final chapter to be dedicated to his murder. I don't want him to be remembered for being a murder victim. I want him to be remembered for positive things. I don't even want to focus too much on this chapter, but because it's essential, I'll go through it. People die all the time, and usually when a celebrity dies, it doesn't have an effect on me. X was different though. He had a lot of issues, but you can see that he tried to be a better person. He could have gone so far as an artist, but his life was stripped away from him for some money in a Louis Vuitton bag. That is, if the murder wasn't planned. The robbery was planned. I can't say anything about the murder. On the day of the murder, Adam 22 was supposed to have a casual interview on Mom's basement with Lil Xan, FaZe Banks, and Keemstar. 2 hours before the interview started, X's murder became breaking news, which changed their plans completely. I have to give respect to these guys for carrying on with the interview, despite receiving tragic news on such short notice. Everyone is sad in this interview, but it was Adam 22's facial expression that really got to me. X was was younger than all of the people in this interview, and he was younger than me too. I made a video 6 months ago called I Just Turned 21, because on my 21st birthday I reached 100 subscribers, and I ended the video with one of X's songs. X didn't even get the chance to live to 21. He got murdered at age 20. He was murdered by Dedrick D. Williams and Michael Boatwright. As of the release of this documentary, Robert Allen is considered a person of interest in the investigation, and the authorities are still searching for him. The only reason why these guys became relevant is because they murdered someone who was an icon to millions of people. That's all there needs to be said about them. But regardless, I've spoken too much about these guys, so let's get back to who's really important. X was unlike any rapper that ever existed before. I've already spoken about his music, but this time I want to talk about his reach. He's one of the most successful musicians in the world right now, and he also ran his own YouTube channel. If you check his social blade, he was consistently gaining over 100 million views a month for the last 3 months of his life. And ever since he passed away, his numbers only got bigger. I know it's because he released his album at that time, but that doesn't take away how impressive that is. Because before the release of Sad, he didn't have any music videos available on his channel. Usually music videos gain a lot more views than audio, yet xxxtentacion only had 3 music videos that were filmed while he was alive. The first 2 were Look at Me and Riot, which were combined as one video, but it was removed by YouTube for the hanging scene. The third one is Sad, which has to be one of the most intriguing music videos I've ever seen in my life. When I was doing my research for this film, I couldn't even find that many interviews he did, and the ones that I could find had insane amounts of views. There's a reason why he was so popular, and it's one of the reasons why I decided to make this film, because his music helped a lot of people. He was honest, and he never played the victim.
Black people want equality. Everybody wants equality. And then they try and make this black power, make equality a whole different privilege. You cannot be privileged. There is no privilege in equality. If a fucking asshole comes and arrests you, and you think that cops are just all racist, cops violate everywhere. If you were white, you were gonna be white. If you were black, you were gonna be black. Hate crimes are hate crimes. If that cop fucking hates black people, then you just so happen to get the hard end of the stick, you feel me? But at the end of the day, crime is crime, hate is hate. Like, alright, if I go out and get arrested and I try and make it a black hate crime, like, oh, they arrested me because I'm black. That's not equality. That's me trying to be privileged by being black and playing the race card. So when people play the race card, you're fucking assholes. It doesn't make sense. If you want to be like everybody else, take the beating, take the bullshit like everybody else. You cannot be privileged because you're black. Just like a white person will probably get beat the fuck out of if they do some dumb shit. If you try and run from the cops, they're gonna fucking tase you. If you try and fight the cops, they're gonna fucking kill you. More likely because you're black, because you look intimidating, because some black people look fucking intimidating. If you look intimidating, they're gonna try and beat the shit out of you. If you don't look intimidating, they're not gonna touch you. They're probably gonna treat you like a bitch if you're a bitch.
He was a critical thinker that loved expressing his thoughts and asking questions, which I feel that he inherited from his father, who also makes inspirational videos on Instagram.
In my last vlog, I said that you individually have the power to change the world through social media. Now here's the next question I'm asking. How do you change the world? You change the world by changing your mindset. Once you change the